am. Dr. Jill drones on about how the thrill is gone. The president's agenda paused by all the problems his policies caused, and the list of what they didn't see coming is longer than one of foods Joe enjoys gumming. Yeah, screw you, Dr. Seuss. New sheriff in town. This weekend, First Lady, Professor and Pediatric Neurosurgeon, Dr. Jill Biden. I'm trying. She whined that the stalled progress of her husband's political agenda is due to unexpected problems at home and overseas. During a private DNC fundraiser, my invite must have gotten lost in the mail. Dr. Jill lamented the president has had so many hopes and plans for things he wanted to do, but every time he turned around, he had to address the problems of the moment or movement. See what I did there? I shouldn't have said that. He's just had so many things thrown his way. It's always sad to see a 79-year-old not have his hopes and plans come true. Especially when those plans include don't go poop in the bathtub. But we get it. It's not like presidents are supposed to anticipate things or rise to the challenges that every leader faces when they run the free world. Instead, a normal president should never expect a crisis. He should just cruise along in a bomber jacket and aviator sunglasses, knowing his VP's got everything covered. Right, Cam? You know, if only we had some new Kamala linguistic linguini complete with bongos.
I do believe that we should have rightly believed, but we certainly believe that certain issues are just settled. Certain issues are just settled.
Clearly we're not.
No, that's right, and that's why I do believe that we are living, sadly, in real unsettled times.
Perfect. Meanwhile, only here, Saturday, during his final day of his trip to the Middle East, Joe was stumbling through it as usual.
Look, you've heard me say before, in the western mountains of China, and for global initiative, the global infrastructure, we had a good discussion. Is this inconsistent with who we are? No one's ever wondered that I mean what I say. The question is, I sometimes say all that I mean. I just answered your question. Do I regret it? I don't regret anything that I said.
I don't think he remembers it. But it makes sense to me. Then again, I'm more baked than a plate of ziti, Judge. What say you, Joe?
Hey, look, listen to my wife, all right? She's a doctor. She's right. How am I supposed to get anything done with all these things happening? Trying to make gas prices go down? But they're going up. That's opposite, man. And get the global warming thing happening, but it's too hot. It's too hot. And what happened? J-Lo just married Ben Affleck? Who saw that coming, right? I thought he was gay married to Matt Damon.
Jamie, I like the reasoning that he would be a great president if nothing was happening.
They keep saying this. Remember, Biden himself said this. Remember, he was like, I would get stuff done, but people kept throwing stuff on my desk. Yeah. And she's like, yeah, there keeps being problems. Yeah, you're like the president.
Yeah.
Like, if there was nothing, we wouldn't need one.
Yes.
If there was that was crazy. I hadn't seen that before the speech where he was like, you've heard me say it before, and then he just made a bunch of noises. I thought he was gonna say, that's all, folks, at the end of it. For a minute there. That was crazy. When I heard he was on a 4-day trip, I was like, how long was that flight of stairs?
That was good. That was good. So I could see it in my head as it was coming out. Tyrus. I love how there's all this bad going on, right? Crime and war, but he's the victim because it's hurting him. His popularity.
I know the few times he came out of the cellar, he told us that he had years and years of experience.
Right.
And he has seen everything you could possibly think of. Except
Yes, everything.
everything you could possibly think of. Yeah, somebody sold us a bill of goods, Gutfeld, and it's just a big old bucket of gruel.
Not gonna say it. Not gonna say it, Cat. I think the problem with Biden is that he was always the consummate coaster. He wasn't supposed to work. Remember, everything was supposed to go back to normal, and once Trump leaves, everything's going to smooth out. No, the world doesn't cater to people who... I don't know the end of that sentence.
Well, you got the first part out okay.
Thanks.
So.
Thank you.
That's great. I'll give you a C+. I know. I actually don't think that they should have been surprised. Because what she's saying is, okay, he had all this stuff that he wanted to do, but other stuff keeps happening.
Yeah.
I think it's been pretty well established that the presidency is a fast-paced work environment. That's what it's about. You have to deal with things as they come up. Like, you're the president.
You know, you know what they're saying, Judge? What they're saying is they wish there were two presidents. The one that's just like the vice president, you know what I mean? Like walking around Joe just wants to still be the vice president. No. And then they need a real president, which should be a Republican who gets done.
Well, yeah, but the thing that bothers...
I know.
Okay.
See, Judge, when I swear, I get more applause.
Yeah.
You try that on the 5.
What?
Try that on the 5.
Yeah, I will try it on the 5, but there's no audience on the 5. That's the difference. Here's the thing. Here's the thing with her. She's as dumb as he is, okay? She gets out there and she said, we never expected Roe versus Wade. And then she thinks about it and she says, no, we had 6 weeks from the leak to the real decision. She said, but we didn't believe it, okay? And then she says, you know, what did we know about Ukraine? We never expected it. All these things just happened. They were building up the forces for like months and months and asking Joe for weapons. But they didn't know it was coming. In Afghanistan, where we had 13 service people who were killed. We didn't know about it. The day you walked in, Joe, you knew about it. What are you talking about? The two of them are lying. Yeah, that's all.
I mean, he's never been right on anything, right?
No, he's never been right on any foreign policy issue ever.
But you know why he's always happy? Because he's eternally surprised by the next moment in time. Ooh.
I think he would have been better. I think he would have been better served if he would have ran for like Walmart greeter.
Yes.
There's always something new coming in.
He would have been better served.
Hi.
Yeah.
Eventually, someone's gonna find the handshake. If you just stand in front of the door, someone go, oh, okay.
Yeah. Tell the corn pop story. They don't have a choice when they're in line trying to buy their.
He would stand right in front of the cart, so you would have to go through him.
Exactly.
And then he'd have to be moved back because he gets.
And then you could ask him a question, and what aisle is so-and-so, and he could say...
What are you asking me for? That's not my job. It's not his job. That's what I'm saying. 2 presidents. We should do this. A real president that's Republican, and then the guy that is good at playing a president. The Democrat's charismatic. The Bill Clinton, the Barack Obama, and then behind the scenes, you got the mechanic. You got Donald Trump doing all the weird stuff. I like how they went to Jamie nodding, if that would help my nonsense.
I saw it coming and really sold it.
Yes.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.